So we all have those stories of our mom's not giving us a cookie before dinner or our friend not letting us play with his toy truck. There are all times when someone said no. That's exactly what permissions issues are on macOS 10. It's the computer telling us we don't have the ability to do something. This might be saving to a certain location, or editing a file, or even reading something. Now, permissions get changed all the time by the operating system, and it's usually not a problem. But when things go awry, they get bad, and they get bad fast. So take example, this text file we have on our desktop. When I try and open it, nope, no permission to do that whatsoever. Fortunately, we have a couple different tools at our disposal to try and resolve the issue. The first, and in my opinion, the best, is Disk Utility. Now, the reason I say best is because it's automated and simple. All you have to do is launch Disk Utility, select your hard drive, and click Repair Disk Permissions. What it'll then do is it'll check against the receipts file, try and fix any permissions that are not correct, and do it for you automatically without any involvement. Now, what's important to remember about disk permissions is that when you fix them, you really should try and fix them from within the operating system. We do have the ability to run a permissions check from the recovery partition, but like I said before, what's really nice is when we do it from the operating system, it checks against the local receipts file to get the best possible outcome. Now, this can sometimes take some time. I've had times where it takes over 20 minutes to fix the permissions of my whole system. This might be when it's been a while since I've done the repair or if things were in really bad shape. But it usually does a pretty good job, and like I said, it's pretty simple and straightforward. Alright, so we let it finish and it didn't find anything. Now that actually makes sense because the permissions repair in the disk utility checks against system-wide issues, but it doesn't do as good of a job for individual files and folders like this one here. So let's just give it a shot anyways. We'll go ahead and get out of disk utility. We'll try and open the file, and no such luck. But that's okay. We still have another really easy tool at our disposal. So we've highlighted the file. What we can do is go to File and Get Info. Here you'll see we have the Sharing and Permissions section. This will list out who has permissions and what type of permissions for any particular file or folder. Right now, you see that it says that everyone has no access. But because we're admins on the computer, we can quickly change that. We'll go down to the lock. We'll authenticate with our admin credentials, the same thing that you would use to log into the computer if you're an administrator. We'll click OK. And all of a sudden, we can now click the plus sign, add ourselves, and decide what kind of permissions we want. Now, we don't just want to be able to read it. We want to be able to edit it and make changes in the whole 9 yards. So we'll choose the option for read and write, close the window, and now if we open it up, we'll see that we have the ability to make changes, read it, do anything we want to it. We can save, close, and we should be good to go. There are a few rare instances when even that is not an option. Those are the times when we can get into the advanced options with the terminal application. That gives us a command line look at what's going on with the program. We can use the ls command to give us some specific information about the permissions of that text file. So if we see at the bottom, it says text.rtf, and over on the left side, it says dash, then rw, and then a couple more dashes. Well, all that's telling us is that the user has read and write permissions and no one else does, that user being me. Now, this is pretty advanced, and if you want to get into it more, I would highly recommend checking out the Unix for macOS 10 users course done by Kevin Skoglund. I come back to that course all the time when I have a specific question about using terminal in the macOS 10 operating system. So you see it's pretty advanced, and we actually didn't even need to use it, but it's a nice tool to have in our back pocket when things get really hairy.